everyone. Welcome to Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Elisa.
And we have such a great show for everybody today. I can't wait to introduce Erin and Rick, who run the Osprey Foundation. So without further ado, take it away. Tell us about Osprey, please. We're really excited to hear all about it.
Sounds great. I'll go first, Erin, if that's okay. Thanks, ladies, so much for having us on today. We really appreciate the chance to get the word out about Osprey Village. So we are building a home for folks with intellectual developmental disabilities. We've been at this for close to 15 years. I joined the board about 8 months ago, and we are getting very close to putting a shovel in the ground. We were very lucky to have 60 acres donated to us in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And our goal is to build in phase one, at least 100 one-bedroom cottages on a fully secure campus for folks that want to live on their own, but maybe need a little bit of help to make that happen.
That is beautiful. How did you two decide, how did you get involved in creating the Osprey Village? And making things happen is always difficult. So it's amazing that you guys have been able to get this to fruition.
Well, we're actually not there yet. We're close. We still have some hurdles to jump, and I'm very confident, in fact, more confident than ever that we're going to get there. I'll tell my story real quick. We have a son named Johnny. Johnny's 23 years old. He's autistic, but he is dying to live on his own. And in fact, his biggest thing now is, Mom, Dad, I should not be living with you people. That's what he calls us, you people. I want out. I want to be on my own, and I want to be independent. We actually thought we had found a wonderful place for him down in Florida. We actually moved our family down there, and it turned out the place wasn't right. It is a wonderful place, but it is for residents that need more help than my son. So they weren't his people. In a fit of franticness, my wife spent about 2 days without sleep. I always like to say moms that have a son or daughter with an intellectual developmental disability can leap buildings in a single bound. And my wife somehow found Osprey Village up in South Carolina, and it is the perfect spot for my son. We found that and decided to get involved. And as I said, I've joined the board now, and I'm really trying to push this thing forward.
And I can share a little bit of my story. So my husband and family and I all lived in the Charlotte area and moved up to the Philadelphia area in 2014, knowing that we wanted to move back south once our youngest graduates from high school, which will be in 2026. I, too, have a daughter with an intellectual and developmental disability. She is currently 24 years old. She went to college. She went to an integrated studies program, which she received a certificate from that. And that was a great experience and allowed my husband and I to see how independently she could live. It gave us the opportunity to see that she couldn't live fully independently, needed some mild support. And so I started doing my internet research and trying to find a community that would be a good fit for Megan. And Osprey Village absolutely fits exactly the needs that we have for her. It's safe, it's contained, it's going to include children similar to her, adults similar to her, who, want to live independently but need a little bit support to do so. There's lots of opportunities for them to serve in the community. There's job training opportunities that are going to be available. They're going to be doing a lot of different field trips for the residents and really making sure that they feel as included as a part of the community in that area as they possibly can.
So, Erin and Rick, when you were doing research, I come from a nonprofit world. When you were there's not a lot of options out there for a lot of different things. When you were doing your research for both of your children, how difficult was it to find what you were looking for when you were doing your research? And what areas did you find had no options for people that had children with developmental disabilities?
Yeah, I'll take that one. The need is great. It's something like 1 in 65 kids now have autism, and we're not just serving the autism community. We have folks with Downs and Fragile X and different intellectual developmental disabilities, but the need is great. And unfortunately, the services haven't caught up with the need. So you'll find communities. We found a really nice community, again, a different one in Florida. They have 400 people on their wait list. You're never going to get in if you're 400th on the wait list. They only have, I think, 80 units. There's many places like this now across the country that are starting to develop, and most of them will already have wait lists. Our community is a little bit different. We're an owned community, so residents and families will actually be purchasing their cottage, which is certainly a barrier to entry because you're buying something, and obviously that's more expensive. But in the long run, my family was super excited that we were going to actually own something and have an asset. We have an older daughter. My son's 23, my daughter's 26. And ultimately, when my wife and I are gone, it's going to kind of fall to my daughter. And we didn't want to put that burden on her. In this case, we're going to get Johnny set up. He'll be ready to go. And then at his end of life, he's actually going to have an asset that my daughter can help him dispose of and work through the rest of his days. But there's just not a lot out there to be able to find. There's a lot more places for folks that need more help. So folks that might need 24/7 care. There's also for our kids, for Erin and I, there's group homes. The problem with a group home is it's a home in the middle of a community where you might have 5 or 6 bedrooms and have 4 or 5 people and a helper living there. But there isn't that sense of security. There isn't that sense of community. There aren't activities for them to do. It becomes very much a debilitating life, even though they're out on their own. Osprey Village solves all of that for us because it gives us that wonderful gated community. So we know our kids are safe today and tomorrow and deep into the future. And then it provides that full activities calendar so that our kids have stuff to do. I always like to say my son's on the all go team. If you're going to the park, he wants to go. If you're going for ice cream, he wants to go. If you're going bowling, he's in. If you're going to dinner, he's in. Whatever it is, he wants to do it. And Osprey Village is going to give him that opportunity.
I agree with Rick. The opportunity to find a location like similar to what Osprey's offering was very challenging, and so thrilled when I came across this. Again, the sense of community that it's going to provide, and then also knowing that Megan will have the ability to stay in this house for the rest of her life. So in the second phase of the community, they're planning an assisted living facility. So that really will allow these residents to age in place and have a place when their parents aren't there to take care of them anymore.
So the name Osprey, what is the significance of the Osprey Village?
That's actually before both of our time. But as I said, they've been working on this for about 15 years, a wonderful group that started this. The gentleman that initially began the project's name is Bill Lincecum. He worked tirelessly at this for 15 years. He had a grandniece, I believe, either grandniece or a granddaughter with intellectual developmental disabilities. And he saw that there was just nothing for her once she aged out of the system at around 22. So he started to try to create Osprey Village. Unfortunately, his family member ultimately passed away. But Osprey is, I guess, a big deal in South Carolina. We've moved up from Florida, so we're learning all about the real South now. And I guess there's a bunch of Ospreys there, and that's where they came up with the name. But we'll be forever grateful to Mr. Lincecum, who got this project started so many years ago.
When these children come to Osprey Village, do they help us understand how they're living there? Are they living in an apartment that they're by themselves, or do they have a roommate? Is it a roommate situation, a quad situation? How does that work?
There are different styles of cottages that they can live in. So my daughter Megan is actually going to have a 2-bedroom cottage. So 2-bedroom, 2-bath, living room, dining room, kitchen. That is her own building. And she gets to live there, decorate it, make it the way that she wants it to be. There are 1-bedroom cottages as well. Some are freestanding, some are quad, so they're attached to one another, but everybody has their own living space.
So since Megan has her 2-bedroom, are you able to visit and spend the night? Do they allow that?
That's part of the reason why we bought a 2-bedroom, was because we wanted to provide Megan the opportunity, if for some reason down the road she decided to get married or, have a roommate, she has the ability to do that. According to the CC&Rs and my understanding from, what the planning has been, is that you will have to have intellectual disability to be able to live within the community, and that's for the safety of the residents. However, as a parent, if we wanted to come and visit, we would have the ability to stay with her.
Yeah, and Johnny's going to be in a one bedroom with a sleeping porch, which I guess would make it easy for us to come visit. And I hope my wife does not hear Erin talk about why you got a 2 bedroom, because she wanted a 2 bedroom too. And I was like, I don't think we need a 2 bedroom. But now that I hear you talk about it, maybe we should try to get a 2 bedroom as well.
So for people researching this, Erin and Rick, how is it funded? I mean, how do they afford something like this? Is that through insurance, from a disability standpoint? How do you pay for it?
Yeah, that's the first part. So I'm going to answer your question a little more broadly. There are government funded housing for kids like ours. The way that works, though, there's none available. You can get on a wait list. Those wait lists are 10 to 20 years long to get into a place. And frankly, the way those wait lists are satisfied is desperate need. So if an individual is being taken care of by a mom, as an example, and that mom passes away, then that person would move to the top of the list to get into that government housing, for lack of a better term. And even then, you're probably still waiting over a year to get in. So the government funded stuff, or what we would maybe call low income housing, is very difficult. There isn't enough of it. Our community, unfortunately, is all private paid. We have not figured out a way to offer this to folks that can't afford it. My job on the roll is to help families figure out if Osprey Village is right for them. And I can tell you, I have some phone calls with folks that ruin my day, because Osprey Village would be perfect for them, but they can't afford the entry fee. And the entry fee is buying a cottage. Certainly you can get a mortgage on that cottage, but that's not for everyone, right? The cottages we're estimating to cost roughly around $300,000 a piece, which sounds expensive for a 1 bedroom in Hilton Head. But remember, part of that cost is going towards building out the infrastructure of the community, the clubhouse that we're going to have in the community. We've also done a lot of fundraising. We've raised about 5.5 million on a goal of 10 million. We're in the middle of a capital campaign now to try to raise the rest of the money so that we can get this done and keep that cost of the cottage at least at a reasonable / acceptable price, so that our residents can afford to get in there.
Do you know if Osprey has plans to build these type of communities in any other part of the United States?
I will tell you that the board that started this 15 years ago has big dreams, and some of them have done their 15 years and moved on, and others have joined, and we have big dreams. We need to get this one built. The next one will get built right after this one gets built, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Their goal was to build 10 of them across the United States. Until you start moving dirt, it's really hard to raise money and to get folks to sign up on the bottom line. We currently have 43 reservation agreements on our first 100 cottages. So we've got room still. In order to get our bank loan to start digging, we need 75 reservations. So one of the great things for us about doing a podcast like this is getting the awareness out so that families know this exists. But yeah, once we get this one up and running and built, we start raising money and we go do the next one.
So what's the criteria for somebody to be able to live at Osprey Village? And are you connected with any other autism foundations or charities that might be able to connect the dots for you guys to bring in more people?
Yeah, that is such a great question. So the requirements are easy. You need to be 18. You need to have an intellectual developmental disability, and you need to be able to live on your own with some help. We have staff that puts everyone through a full review to understand whether or not we can actually help that person, whether our community can serve that person. We have 3 different tiers based on the level of service that someone would need. My son is a tier 1, and I actually got the first assessment done because I said, well, if I'm working with other families, I want to know how this works. They came to do the assessment. I'm like, oh gosh, this is like a 2-hour event. My son's a tier 1. Why are we spending so much time? I will tell you that when Amy, who's our employee at Osprey Village, left, my wife and I were both certainly welling up, if not in tears, because she spent 2 hours with us figuring out how best my son would be successful living on his own. And we're developing an individualized plan for each of our residents as they move in. If you think about my son, he's autistic. He really wants to have friends, but he's not great at it. He's a low talker. He doesn't talk that much. He's 6'2", 190 pounds, and goes to the gym 5 days a week. So he's a very handsome, good-looking guy. He's just not real outgoing. His plan is much different than Colleen's, who is a friend of Johnny's, who has Down syndrome, who talks to everyone, is extremely verbal. If she sees you, you're getting a hug. They have two different plans for how they'll enter Osprey Village. So we're taking this very carefully to make sure that everyone is successful that moves into Osprey Village.
So while they're at Osprey Village, what kind of activities or are there opportunities for them to earn income, and how does that work?
So we're going to have a job center. So we will be working with folks. Our tier ones have all likely already had some sort of a job, and we'll be looking to continue some sort of a job. Our tier threes may not necessarily work. They may do more volunteer things. Some of our tier ones may help our tier threes. There's a brand new YMCA going in across the street from us that we'll be a big part of, and they've already talked about engaging with our residents. I have a group of moms that are local that there's about 10 of them. I call them my super moms. And they have literally said to me, Rick, we will go to every single business that is within 10 miles of Osprey Village. We will knock on the door and make sure that they're willing to employ our residents. So we're going to make it happen so that the folks that want to work will be able to work. We're also going to have great big open spaces in this community. My wife and I lived in California for 20 years, and I don't want to say my wife is a hippie, but she lived in California for 20 years. And when she looked at it, she said, look at all these open spaces. We can have public gardens. We can grow our own foods. Can we have goats? Can we have chickens? So I don't think we can have goats and chickens, but we're going to have public gardens. We're going to grow our food. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for our residents to have a very fruitful and successful life, no matter whether they work at a real job, a job we make up for them, or simply help out within the community.
You mentioned animals. So are they allowed to have pets like dogs and cats?
No dogs and cats.
As a mom, what you're doing resonates so deeply with me. My best friend from college, her son is autistic, and I've seen the way that she has gracefully and elegantly handled Hugh's autism, and he's nonverbal, and it's definitely been something that I feel so grateful to know her and to get to hear your stories about how you want to make a difference in other children's lives. It's not just your children, it's helping other families get to the finish line so that their children can have productive. As a parent, all we want is for our kids to have, healthy, productive lives. So I think what you're doing is so meaningful and so beautiful that I'm sure that when you tell people what you're working on, most people would probably have a similar reaction of like, how can I be helpful? What can we do to help? Because that's what we're here for. So how can we help?
I would say the biggest thing is getting the word out. And unfortunately, you're not alone. Everyone we talk to has been touched by this, or has a friend that's been touched by this, or whatever it may be. And I will tell you, as the parent of an autistic child, our family and friends, especially our friends, are some of the most important people in the world to us because they include us. They invite my wife and I out. They invite Johnny over. We do dinner. We do parties. We have a great time. My friends' kids are friends to my son. And when you see that in the real world, it's one of the most important things that could ever happen. So we're forever grateful to those folks. What I would tell folks now is there's the easy part, right? We need money. But the more important part is simply getting the word out. You could actually change someone's life if you let them know about Osprey Village, because they're looking. And while it might not be right for your friend's son, she knows other folks who have autistic kids that don't know about Osprey Village. They didn't get lucky and do an internet search and find it. We're not the greatest public relations people. But if we can get the word out, and if you get the word out to just one person and Osprey Village becomes right for them, you've changed their whole life. So we're just asking folks from an awareness standpoint, just tell people about us. You can give them our phone number, give them our email address, point them to our website. We'll talk to anyone to see if this is right for them. But it's really for us about awareness.
Something that I've seen recently on TV and a guest that we're going to have on soon, I would love to, it's completely a little bit of a departure of what you're doing, but not, this whole dorm room, reveal and doing dorm rooms for the college girls and how excited they get. And so I just keep thinking, I'm like, once, you get your houses and your cottages open, bringing in designers and decorators to work with your families to really build something that the children get excited about. It just seems like such a natural fit. Like, I'm super excited to mention this to some of the people that we've been talking to, that down the road, that this is what will be something fun for them, in addition to sharing what you're doing and getting the name of Osprey Village out there to our network. It's an incredible philanthropy that you're doing and really making a difference.
Oh my gosh, I love that idea. My wife and I are addicted to the home shows and when they redo stuff and then do the reveal and all that. I mean, that's like our small part of our life. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna connect you. Yeah, I think that having the opportunity to let the children be involved in the decorating, but then also see the results of it, is something that everybody would feel good about. No one's gonna say like, that's a really bad idea.
No, that's a great idea.
I mean, obviously, giving the same experience, I think as humans, we all want to have the same experiences and we can all feel the same way. So it's always nice to go into a bedroom that's been designed and see new linens and towels and a desk that is exciting. I think we all feel the same way when we get that. Whatever you're dealing with, it's all the same reaction.
Yeah, before I started doing this, a friend of mine opened a house on Cape Cod. It's like a 10-bedroom house, and it's for kids with cancer and their families. He was involved in a situation where someone asked him if they could use his house when he wasn't using it, and a family that had a son that had cancer was able to take a vacation, from childhood cancer. And so he built a house, 10-bedroom house, and they had HGTV come in and design the bedrooms. And it's unbelievable when you see this house. And it led to a lot of donations as well. So what a great idea. Thank you so much for that. We'll figure out how to reach out to those folks and see if we can make that happen for sure.
Well, and I know, Rick, that you're a New England Patriots fan, but the Eagles Autism Foundation, they do a tremendous amount of fundraising. And if you could, stand it to just say, go Birds every once in a while, I might be able to connect you with them. But, but it's okay if you can't. I know some people just can't.
And I'll put the jersey on and everything. I'll make my kid wear it. We'll do whatever we have to do to make this happen for our kids.
This may be something for Erin or Erin's husband that may be more interested in it. Haha.
I mean, I think that the thing is, and also bringing in the sports world, because I think that sports are the universal language, and sharing the love of cheering for a sports team. Elisa and I are both on the board of the Ronald McDonald House, a charity that is very near and dear to our hearts. And, that's something that started because of the Philadelphia Eagles 51 years ago. So I think finding ways to bring in sports people, again, children that are dealing with, and families that are, I get so emotional when I talk about it because it's so real for me. My college roommate is still one of my best friends, her son, like I said, Hugh. And so I just see what she goes through. So finding any way to make a difference in other people's lives who have children that are going through some stuff is something that I definitely can get behind.
Yeah, especially a place where you feel safe putting your children, because there aren't a lot. I come from a social work background and nonprofit, and there aren't a lot of safe places for kids or geriatric patients when it's time to go to when we start thinking about nursing homes. It's the same thing, and we all want to feel safe. I don't have children, but I can only imagine putting someone with a disability in an independent living situation, on how scary that must make you feel as a parent, especially if you don't live close.
And Elisa, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's absolutely what has drawn my husband and I to Osprey Village, is the safety that's going to be a part of the program. I know, one of the things that they're going to have in the apartments is, one-way calling, so you can pick up the phone and call for help 24 hours a day. And a place where a child can live safely for the rest of her life. Unfortunately, my husband and I are not going to be here forever. And the chances that Megan will outlive us, and knowing that she will have a place that she will feel comfortable and a part of a community is just huge from a parenting perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about my son, right? I mean, he's 6'2", 190 pounds. He goes to the gym. He's a gentle giant. But we have a family that is another board member, and their daughter is 5 foot. She is a power lifter. I'm not sure how a 5 foot young girl is a power lifter, but that's what she does. But she was in a group home, and there was some physical altercations in that home, and the girl's 5 feet tall and a little pint of peanuts. And so her family can't wait to get her into the safety of an Osprey Village. And as Erin said, we have all types of security that's going to be involved in these cottages. You actually can hit a button and 24/7 to get some help if you need it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of places that aren't safe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, with the elder abuse and all sorts of things out there, it's the one thing that we definitely want to make sure that our children are. Even Daisy agrees that that we want to make sure that children have a great place to thrive, and that's really what it's about. And I think that providing that option for parents, and I know it's an expensive option for many people. It's not something that they had ever really thought about doing. So finding ways to contribute so that it is affordable for a lot of people, I think, is again something that I'm sure. Have you had any fundraisers? Have you had any fundraisers where there's a big event to raise money and awareness?
We just kicked off our capital campaign. So most of the fundraising to date has been angel investors. We got about $2.5 million from 24 people that all put $100,000 and said, "Here you go. Here's some money to get started." We got a little bit of state funding. We had promises for more state funding. Unfortunately, our current climate, that state funding has gone away. The rest of our fundraising has mostly been guerrilla marketing. And in fact, when I joined the board, I said, "Hi, I don't understand why you haven't raised more." They didn't really have an executive director in place. We now have an executive director, and we just kicked off our capital campaign, I want to say about 60 days ago. And we've raised about 500 grand since that started, with a goal of raising 10 million. And I think we'll get there. Once we start digging, the fundraising becomes a lot easier. As you can imagine, there's folks that love this idea and are very interested in it, but they're saying, "Hey, when do you get started on this?" So hopefully we get digging soon, and that will really help. We have a golf tournament coming up that we should raise some money at. We actually have 2 stores as well, thrift shops in the Hilton Head area. They don't make us a lot of money, but they do give us some visibility. So we're out there with that. But golf shops next, or the golf tournament's next, and then eventually we'll be having an annual ball or gala, whatever you want to call it, that we hope will be our big fundraiser of the year. But for now, it's really going out to the 43 families that have committed and saying, "Hey, who do you know that we can reach out to and beg for money?"
Yeah. I think galas are, great. We're preparing for one as we speak, for a big gala. And they, with the auctions and the silent auctions and the support you get from having, 400 to 500 people at the gala is just outstanding on the money that you can raise. So galas are great.
California for a while, and as I mentioned earlier, and we would go to the galas for the schools my kids went to, and there was so much money out there. I couldn't believe they would fundraise for new computers, and people would raise their hands. They'd raise $100,000 in 10 minutes. I go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." So hopefully once we get Osprey Village to truly be a shovel in the ground, we're moving forward. Those type projects will really start to benefit us, because ultimately we do want to build a foundation so that this place can live in perpetuity, and then hopefully use those funds to help us build the next one.
I am really confident that you will achieve all of your goals and more. And just again, we're going to continue to share your stories and get the word out there. What you're doing is really, truly remarkable. And now what about other, so on the premises, will there be like I said, activities? Like, will there be things for children like hippotherapy with the horses and activities that they can maybe do and become really good at and learn new things? Like, how does that work in the business model?
So there'll be a full activities calendar. As part of our operations budget, there's an activities coordinator, an assistant activities coordinator. And so if you can imagine my son who wants to do everything, he's going to be able to look at the calendar each week and say, okay, Monday, there's pizza and a movie, I'm in. Tuesday, there's horseback riding. There's a horseback riding place right down the road, I'm in. Wednesday, there's a group going to the YMCA to go to the gym, I'm in. Thursday or Saturday, there's a beach trip. So every day there will be things for the kids to do so that they can have a full, robust calendar. We're also going to be purchasing a couple of SUVs. Most of our, I keep calling them kids. I should call them residents. Most of our residents don't drive. And so we'll be giving rides to places like the beach. We'll be giving rides to jobs. We'll be giving rides to the doctor, those kinds of things. But it's going to be a full-blown calendar, which is why I, at least for me, and I think for Erin as well, we like this approach so much more than the group home, where we've got them living somewhere, but they're just kind of left to their own devices.
I think it sounds great. So if people want to get involved, aside from we're going to share your stories and all your information, how do people get involved? How do people find you? What is the quickest and most fiscally relatable way?
So our website is ospreyvillage.org. And if you go to ospreyvillage.org, hopefully it's easy to navigate through there. We do have someone that's volunteering to update our website for us right now, but it's pretty good. And you can set up a meeting with us. And usually I'm actually the one that does those meetings and meets with the families to talk to them to see if Osprey Village is right. There's a way to donate, obviously, on there and to get involved. And we're looking for any help that we can get. I will tell you that we have a new mom, and she's reached out and said, Rick, you guys aren't doing this, and this. Of course, she said it much nicer to me than that. Remember, I'm from Massachusetts. I just tell it like it is. She was from North Carolina. So it took her about 15 minutes to tell me all the things that we weren't doing. She's a PR specialist, and she's offered to take over our PR, which is just amazing. The things she's trying to do for us already are fantastic. We're actually working with a videographer who's also volunteering their time to create a B-roll. We're going to shoot that B-roll out to a bunch of news outlets and see if we can get our story out there on the news. One of our moms knows someone at the Today Show. And could you imagine if we could get our story on the Today Show, what it would mean for us? It would be amazing from a fundraising standpoint and an awareness standpoint. So we're going to be trying to do all of those things. But if someone wants to get involved, the best thing to do is to go to ospreyvillage.org.
And we're so, blessed with social media. We have all the things with LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So I'm sure you're advertising on all of those social media platforms as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. Erin, you want to talk about your daughter? She just completed on our social media page.
So on a personal note, what are some of the extraordinary moments of having a family that is that has children in it that might be autistic or have some disabilities? How great is that? How much of a blessing is that?
I don't have any patience. I was born without any patience, and then I was given an autistic son. Which has required me to have the most patience of any human being on the planet. And so, the world works in different ways, right? A guy that has zero patience for anything all of a sudden is gifted an autistic son. And he's been my best buddy for about 21 years. Now, the last couple of years, he no longer wants to hang out with me. In fact, he calls us you people now. The beginning of the summer, he said to us, Mom, Dad, is there any way I can get like a hotel room so that when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to be with you people? He just, like any other kid that's 22, 23 years old, he wants to be on his own. So those life lessons have been amazing for us. Having to deal with that patience, though, for me, has probably been the biggest life changer.
So, I got to ask. So, because all these things have sounded fabulous, is there anything that you're scared about with, the unknowns?
It's not happening. We don't have a shovel in the ground yet, so we're trying to figure out how we start digging and how we start building. And I think we've course corrected several times as we've gone through this project. But every time I go home and I'm in a freaked out mode, my wife looks at me and says, "Hang on, you're on the board. You've raised $5.5 million. You have 43 out of 100 sales. And by sheer force of nature, I know you're going to make this happen." And I tell her about my mom's group that I have, and she goes, you don't, those moms are going to make this happen no matter what. So there are definite ups and downs in this process, but I know with the team we have, we're going to make this thing real.
Oh, yeah. I know it. I can sense it. And there, give people a challenge, and which this isn't even really necessarily of course it's a challenge, but making the world a better place and helping out families and children and really creating a whole entire new model for what is best for the kids in the future. I think you are all doing that beautifully. So I'm excited to see what happens next for the Osprey Village.
Well, that's it. It is a model for the future, right? And we have a phase 2 where we're going to build another 50 units on top of the 100. I would love it if in phase 2, we've raised enough money that we can build our own apartment building as an example, and that we could charge low rents to families that couldn't afford phase 1, but we could get them into phase 2 that could maybe pay a nominal rent, but we've built that building with donations so that we have the ability to offer those houses to folks that I speak to, that Osprey Village would be perfect for them. They just can't afford it right now. So there's so much we can do as we get the word out about Osprey Village.
So I'm trying to envision this place. So I'm curious, when we're looking at landscape of Osprey Village in Hilton Head, what type of acreage are we talking about that you're going to be able to have 150 independent living, for this community? What's the acreage like?
We have 60 acres. Probably 35 of those are buildable. It's a beautiful piece of land that was gifted to us by a builder who's developing over, I think it's 7,500 acres. So Erin mentioned earlier, there's a YMCA that's almost built right across the street from us. That'll be fantastic. There's communities going in all around us. There's, $250,000 communities, $500,000 communities, $1 million communities. There'll be shopping centers. There'll be all types of development in this area that we're going into. But we've got our 60 acres. We're going to gate it and fence it up so it's safe as can be. And then we'll build our cottages within that area.
That's awesome. So
when you're building the cottages, are there, because I think about the commercials that I see on TV for tunnel to towers homes, are there build outs that would lend itself to somebody who was in a wheelchair? So what kind of, I think it's American Disability Association, are there homes that will be built to accompany that condition?
Yes, it's ADA. I've learned all about that myself. We're actually required to have a certain number of ADA, and with our community, we may have more than would be required for us to build. But if one of our residents needs an ADA ready unit, we will build them an ADA ready unit. And I watch those tunnels to towers commercials too. And I'd probably give money, except I'm giving it all to Osprey Village. And how do I get Mark Wahlberg to talk about Osprey Village? If I could get Mark, I'd be all set.
Well, I think that there's a lot of, I believe that there seems to be a bridge between Tunnel to Towers and what they're doing to help our wounded veterans and families who have lost family members in the military and law enforcement, and what you're doing. So while I don't know Frank Siller, I think that maybe we could try to connect the dots, because there does seem to be a way that it seems very similar to what they're doing, building communities and homes for families that have had changes in their life, similar to what the families like you and Erin and many other families.
Yeah, imagine if they could just give us a 10-second plug on one of their commercials. I mean, that's really all we would need. Hey guys, you might want to look at Osprey Village if you have an intellectual developmental disability person within your family. I'm taking notes. You've come up with a bunch of great ideas already.
Marnie always has great ideas.
Thank you.
She's full of great ideas.
Thank you. But
I say that all. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that I don't know them. I think that it would be interesting to try to reach out to them and see if there's a way to connect the dots, like I've said, because I think that they're building communities for families that need help, and you're doing the same thing, a little bit of a different way, but it's all the same. And I think that helping others and making families feel safe and comfortable and appreciated is a really good thing.
My PR person that's helping us, she says we need this B-roll to send around to groups, to groups, but that'd be a great group to send our B-roll to just say, hey, this is what we're doing. Would love if you could participate, help us in any way. I don't know if they'll make me wear a Philadelphia Eagles shirt, but I would if I had to. That would be okay. For them, I'd probably have to wear a Yankees hat. I could do that too if need be. But I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think when we mention children, the elderly, obviously service people, firefighters, police officers, anyone in healthcare, I think, it raises eyebrows, right? Especially when you mention children. That's the great thing about the Ronald McDonald House. Anytime we ask for anything for Ronald McDonald House, whether it be money or just gifting them things that they need for the house, people show up. So I think it's definitely worth trying to, get in touch with someone, because when you mention children, people show up.
Yeah. And again, Tunnel to Towers, they're taking care of families. Like I said, there's definitely I see a really clear connection there about taking care of families, and people that are making donations understand that it's about the family and keeping the family unit together, or helping the family unit sustain and thrive as they continue throughout their life. And that's, being able to have a healthy and productive life in any way, and everyone's definition of healthy and productive is different. So I think that finding ways to support Osprey Village, a lot of people, I'm sure, would be very happy to do so.
And one of the amazing things about, and I don't need to keep talking about Tunnels to Tower, but about Tunnels to Towers, the vast majority of the money they raise goes right into the charity. They don't have a ton of overhead and so forth. And of course, at Osprey Village, we have zero overhead, right? There's no one making any money on this thing. We are a nonprofit that's putting everything back into the community for our families. So it is an easy one to donate to, if folks are so inclined. We have a brick campaign too. You can buy a brick for $125 to get yourself involved if that's what you can afford. But, I love the ideas that you folks are coming up with. They're fantastic.
Well, we love your idea. So we're even.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
You mentioned athletics. I would tell you that Bluffton, which is in Hilton Head, has a wonderful Special Olympics program. There's a dad. Usually it's a mom. In this case, it was a dad who had a daughter that was way into rowing. And when he got there was nothing. So he started a Special Olympics program that now has 10 to 12 different activities or sports that our kids can participate in. His daughter went to the National Special Olympics for rowing. We also have the University of South Carolina at Bluffton has a Best Buddies program. My son has participated in that a little bit, and they're going to be a big part of our campus once we get up and running. But this little school in Bluffton, which is again in Hilton Head, in the last 5 years, they've been named the top collegiate best buddy program in the nation twice. That there's guys that participate in that, but it's mostly this group of young women that run this Best Buddies program. Is just amazing. So we have a wonderful community in Hilton Head as well, Hilton Head, Bluffton area. That's really going to support our facility once we get up and running. So we're very excited about our location too.
So in wrapping up, because Erin and I had a conversation about this when we were in Vegas together back in the early spring, I just wanted to ask Erin, what excites you, Erin, most about this opportunity?
I think the thing that excites me the most and our family is the fact that Megan is going to be able to live independently in a safe environment with adults with similar abilities to her and be an active participant in the community. Megan currently has a job. She works at a YMCA. The fact that there's a YMCA right within this community, she's hoping to just transfer right over there, and is really looking forward to meeting people her age that she can do things with. Social struggles are something that I think young adults in the IDD community all struggle with. And the fact that there will be other adults there and going through similar situations as they are will really benefit them. And it's a huge, I know their siblings are very excited for her too. I mean, Megan is a twin. She has a twin sister. She has two younger siblings, a sister and a brother. And, they're thrilled for this opportunity for her as well, because they see how excited she is about it. The fact that she's going to have her own home. And, as you mentioned, she is definitely going to want to take up those interior decorators and helping her. She's already picking out things to decorate her home and saving her pennies to do so. So I think that the opportunity that it's providing Megan to live a fulfilling life.
So I have to ask, are you excited? Is the family as a whole excited about coming back south?
We are all thrilled. We absolutely love the Philadelphia area, but cannot wait to get back to the warm sunshine in the South. Start rooting on our Carolina Panthers again from the state and not from afar. And, visiting with some of the families that we've gotten to know over the years who've been very supportive of Megan and our family.
Awesome. Well, Rick, Erin, we really appreciate your time and taking time out of both your busy schedules to come on and be on our podcast, Bench to Bold, today. And I'm glad you both got to meet Marnie, and Marnie got to meet you both. And so let's just, in wrapping up, I want everybody to be able to know exactly how to contact you guys or get in touch with Osprey if they have questions or want to have a child with a developmental disability that they have interest in, maybe seeing the.
I think, as Rick mentioned, definitely, going to the website, www.ospreyvillage.org. And then following us on social media. Our social media editor is very good about keeping things updated and providing information to our families that would be a great opportunity for them to learn more about the community and reach out to us.
Our latest post was actually done by Megan, Erin's daughter, and it was fantastic. I dare anyone to read it and not tear up a little bit. I showed it to my son, and he looked at the pictures, and he said to me in a really low voice, she's going to live there? I said, yep, she's gonna live there. She's gonna be your neighbor. So he was pretty pumped about meeting Megan. Meeting Megan.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Erin and Rick. And I know that Elisa and I are excited to share your stories and share you and your dream that will become a reality, and, stay involved and figure out how we can make introductions for you and help your families out, because that's what we're supposed to do. So thanks for being on Bench to Bold. You guys are definitely doing bold, bold, bold things, as are your children and your families who adore you and love you. So thank you. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Elisa. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, ladies.